Hello, everyone. We're here for the webinar, Balkan Gaming Landscape, Maze or Amaze, Deep Dive in the Market. We're going to wait a few minutes until we get everybody that wants to participate hooked in. So just stand by and we will start just in a few minutes. In the meantime, I would like to welcome our honored panelists, guest panelists, that will provide a little more information and deeper into the recent changes in the Balkan gambling legislation. With us is Dan Iliovici, Vice President Rombet. Later on, when he makes his presentation, he will say a few words about him. With us is Vasco Ilievski, President of the Macedonian Sports Betting Association. Also from Romania, with us is Ovidiu Iosif, Executive Director of Yoc Responsible Association. With us is Zoran Puhic, Secretary General of the European Organization for Gaming Law, who is going to provide more detail on the recent gambling law situation in Serbia as well as Montenegro. And also Angel Iribozov, who is the chairman of the Association of Gaming Industry in Bulgaria. So during this panel, we're going to cover Romania, Bulgaria, North Macedonia, Serbia, and Montenegro, and dive deeper into the recent changes in the region. Probably we should start now, just a few introductory words. As we all know, Eastern Europe and particularly the Balkan region has been under the spotlight for many gambling operators due to the developments that are happening in the region, also the potential that has been opening in the region, both on the land-based and online industry. But something that should always keep us abreast is the constant changes in the regulation. We witnessed that during the last year, a lot of discussion had happened, in particular on a few areas, and these are the online gaming regulation, the taxation, the responsible gaming topic, the advertising topic. So overall, those four topics have been rolling around in many countries and with a particular focus in Eastern Europe and the Balkans. We witnessed that in October, following after that December, even this year in February, countries adopted changes to their gambling law, and the current driver in the industry, we could say, is the increase of the gambling taxes, further restriction on the advertising, putting further focus on the responsible gaming with concern for the vulnerable group of people. So we can say that all this more or less is driving a trend toward consolidation in the sector. I would like to start with Dan Iliovici, who is going to provide further information on the changes in Romania as one of the biggest gambling markets on the Balkan region. Dan, the word is yours.
Good afternoon. Thank you for organizing this interesting webinar. Thank you, Rosie, for the introduction. Indeed, the Balkans are apparently very dynamic regarding the gambling industry and the regulation, and especially Romania. As for myself, I am the vice president at Rombet, one of the, we believe, representative industry association in Romania. We have members from the entire spectrum of the gambling industry, naming online operators, land-based operators, service providers, which are in Romania need to have a second-class license. I am also vice president at another association which is called Responsible Gambling in Romanian. It's Joc Responsabil. And I'd like to welcome Ovidiu Iosif here with us, which is who is the executive director, manager of this association. And he is directly dealing with all our responsible gambling projects. But about all these, he will have the possibility to speak a little bit in depth after I will present the general situation from Romania. In Romania, we had a relatively stable regulation till 2 years ago. In 2022, there were some changes, not too big, but the biggest changes were adopted by the Romanian government in October last year. I will name just the most important changes, but first of all, I would like to say that discussing with the operators, with all the licensees in our market, on our market, the biggest problem is that nobody knows or knew before what will gonna happen, and therefore the predictability of the market was very poor, which led to a number of big problems for operators, especially for smaller operators. I mean the land-based ones. But let's start with the most important changes. I think for the biggest interest is for the online operators. And last October, it was introduced the obligation to have a registered office in Romania or to register a permanent establishment. This or many of these changes, I have to say, they were introduced because of the state budget problems. They need more money to the state budget, and also they put all these or many of these changes. There were under the headline of taking care of the customers, of the problem gamblers. But in fact, what we see is a huge increase in taxes, in warranties for both online and offline land-based operators. For online licensees, the fee is flat. It's 300,000 euros per year. But we have a warranty. So each operator should put down a warranty, which goes from 500,000 euros to 1 million euros per year, in steps, in different steps, from 500,000 to 1 million, related to the GGR. But from 2025, it will be a flat warranty for 1 million euro per year. For land-based operators, it's the same, depending on the turnover. For this year, the warranty should be is between 500,000 to 1 million euro, and as of 2025, irrespective of the turnover, it's 1 million euro. If for the online operators, this is somehow understandable and let's say applicable for the land-based operators, regardless of number of slot machines, for example. They have the same amount of this warranty, which is, in our opinion, a little bit unfair for small operators. It's also the responsible gambling fee for online operators. It's 500,000 euros per year, and for second-class licenses, the annual license doubled from 10,000 euros per year to 20,000 euros per year. And they also have to pay an RG fee, a responsible gambling fee, of 15,000 euros per year, which went up more than 10 times. It was previously 1,000 euro per year. So the life for the second-class licensees, which are payment processors, affiliates, went abruptly up to 15,000 euros per year. For slot machines operator, the annual license fee increased from 75,000 to 150,000 euros per year, so it doubled, regardless of number of slot machines. Again, I think it's somehow unfair if any operator, regardless of number of slot machine, should pay the same annual license fee. I don't think this is very attractive for small operators. I have to say that in Romania, the minimum number of slot machines owned by an operator in order to get a license is 75 slots. So if you have 75 slots or 7,000 slots, you'll pay the same annual license fee. And again, an interesting change is regarding the AVPs, the so-called low risk, low bet slot machines, which were introduced several years ago in order to protect the customers from spending too much on slot machines, for land-based slot machines. And now the new regulation completely stopped these AVPs from being licensed. So it's only for regular slot machines with no limits. Regarding the responsible gambling, as I said, the National Gambling Office is collecting a lot of money from operators as a responsible gambling fee. And during the last 6 years, they spent nothing on responsible gambling projects. So they had an amount of about 8 million, 8 million euros. And imagine all this huge amount was only spent in a very small percentage on some administrative internal spending, like salaries for 2 or 3 members of the responsible gambling bureau, which is within the National Gambling Office. This is a pity. And before I hand over to Ovidiu at the Responsible Gambling Association, I also would like to say that we as an industry body, through this association, Responsible Gambling, we have several projects and programs for educating, preventing, and treating problem gamblers. We went to the National Gambling Office in different occasions in order to establish a collaboration to see how can we bring together the National Gambling Office and our association in order to bring forward all these projects. Unfortunately, for different reasons, it was not possible to make this let's see, collaboration. We have, as Ovidiu will further present, we have those projects with an annual budget of approximately 200,000 euros. Imagine what one could have done with millions of euros which were at the National Gambling Office. And finally, regarding also the responsible gambling fees, in October also last year, the government introduced the obligation, the possibility for the state budget to take over 70% of this responsible gambling fund from the National Gambling Office. So 70% of this money is taken by the state government, by the state budget, and even the remaining 30%, it's a problem how to be spent on responsible gambling projects. On top of these, for the land-based industry, there is a problem with the technical requirements in order to authorize all these slot machines. There were a number of delays in putting in place these technical requirements to make them mandatory. And now all these operators should comply with new technical standards. And there is also a big, relatively big issue in the market with these slot machines and how to comply with new technical standards. If there are questions from the audience or from the other speakers, from you, Rosie, regarding this market, please feel free to.
I just wanted to kind of try to summarize that from what you're explaining. Pretty much currently, both online and land-based gaming operators in Romania are going through a transition process, and unfortunately, the legislation is done in a way where they did not really consider the size of the operator, and it looked like it was unfairly and probably not proportionately taxed based on the size of the operator, probably in the desire to drive consolidation, which probably we don't know if that is their intention or not, but that's how it appears from the surface. Nevertheless, I guess this is something that currently puts a lot of the small and medium operators into a situation where they try to figure how they can continue the business. So apparently this year and next year is going to be transitional for the Romanian market, and maybe we're going to witness some consolidation trends. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely, Rosie. It's a very good observation. And on top of that, we have general elections, local elections, presidential elections, and EU elections in Romania this year. And politicians, as everywhere around Europe, take the gambling industry as evil. And because they know that if they have a speech against gambling or blaming gambling for all the problems on the society, they will immediately attract votes. So there is now a sort of bidding between parties, which is more restrict, which would like to have the gambling industry more and more restricted. And as I said, unfortunately, in an election year, this goes even tougher. So we expect some more and more initiatives to be discussed in the parliament regarding how to limit the gambling industry, and with focus on land-based industry, which is most visible on street, and also advertisement for the gambling industry.
Well, you didn't mention anything about advertising. Apparently, this is again a hot topic everywhere. The advertising of the gambling sector, with a lot of discussion, providing from restrictions to total ban. Hopefully, that's not the case in Romania. But anyway, it will be interesting to learn what's happening in Romania about advertising.
Yes, it's regarding the advertisement, there were some limits established. For example, for billboards, it's 20 square meters, which is not a problem, a big problem. And for the TV advertisement, it's limited from 11 p.m. till 6 a.m. So it's again not. It was also previously the same limitation, but it was not specifically written in the law. And there are discussions about advertisement, but as I said, one of the biggest problems for politicians is that the land-based operators are in the most visible for general public. So they are, and many times in big cities, they have the shops in clusters. So it's for people walking on the street, it's a little bit annoying that you see 2-3 betting shops, one next to another, and they are asking themselves what is going on, why there are so many. But I've seen the same situation, for example, in the UK. If you're going in cities, the more you're going a little bit far from the city center, you will see some betting shops in small clusters. So 2-3 betting shops, one next to another. So uh, these this kind of image is present in many countries, but it's an issue for the general public and for the politicians. It's a hook they would like to catch and to attract more votes, claiming that they protect customers and so on. But when the time is coming to make something a project, to bring a project, to build something in order to prevent, to educate, unless we are working with our association, I haven't seen too much, let's see, projects going on, and it's nothing from the National Gambling Office. It's up till now, it's almost zero.
Yeah, you had mentioned that they had collected 7 or 8 millions, and no real project focused on responsible gaming have been implemented. Besides, from what I understood, according to the new ordinance, 70% or more are going to go to the budget without again focus on the responsible gaming. So this is one of the things that apparently is disturbing and should be brought to the attention of the regulators from your association. Probably we can see similar tendencies in other countries. Just to be fair, we have to switch soon to the rest of the speakers. But one last question for you. Do you have register that is implemented for vulnerable people that prevent access and prevent gambling activities in Romania?
Yes, there is also, it was introduced last year. the obligation for the National Gambling Office to maintain a national register of self-excluded people, of players. But again, due to the budget restrictions, it is not in place. I think the term will be next month. So by April the 1st, this national register should function. But we do not see any movement, also probably because of some budget restrictions and spending limits on this new regulation. It will be, and another problem is that in Romania, players which are going into a slot hall machine or a betting shop, land-based, they are not obliged to identify themselves. So there is no registration of these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
the implementation is going to be a challenge, but anyway, that is still to come in Romania. Thank you so much, Dan. Thank you. You had a very detailed presentation and a lot of new information regarding the new ordinance that came and was voted, came to place at the beginning of the year, and it was voted in October last year. Maybe we can have just very, very quickly few words from Ovidio about
before I hand over to Ovidio, I'd like to mention that on our website rombet.com, if the organizer could send this link to our attendees, there is an English section, and on the legislation page we have all these summarized, all these conditions for each kind of operators, naming each fee, each tax as it is enforced since 2024. So it's very easy to get there. I will kindly ask the organizer to name exactly.
Absolutely. Maybe after we finish, Biljana and also the team of the Eastern European Gaming Summit, they can put a brief summary with references and information where every participant can find more information about topics that we're discussing now.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Ovidio, please, the word is yours. Just keep in mind that we're already short in time.
Okay.
We have 3 more speakers. So just quickly, an overview of what you had done and the program that you had implemented for the study of responsible gaming.
Yeah, thank you very much. About myself, I joined that position almost 3.5 years ago. And one of my first, let's say, assignments from the very first day was to be able to develop programs with the National Office for Gambling. So by now we have 3.5 years.
Very good. A lot of experience.
And the 0 program developed with the National Office.
You had mentioned that you implemented the program with a lot of participants. From what I understood, about 3,300 students and 1,000 parents and more than 160 teachers in Bucharest last fall. So what was the objective of this program? Just very quickly.
Yes, very quickly. So all our programs, and this is one-time program, but we have ongoing continuous programs for the people with exposure to the gambling. All those programs are sponsored by industry. And last year we had an opportunity, local city hall, Bucharest is divided in 6 districts. And one of the districts opened up some opportunities for NGOs to apply for public funds. We come with a proposal, we've been selected, and during the fall, we implemented this project. And the reason for that was to expand our reach, because we proposed education outside of the gambling domain, but also gambling prevention was there. We wanted to have more visibility on the public arena being sponsored by a state entity in the end. And also with this project, we try to collect some data from the market, because as Dan explained, especially in the last 2 years, it's a lot of focus on the market from all actors. Everybody has its own opinion, but nobody has proper research, a proper study to base their arguments on facts and data. So you can speak of millions of addicted people, but in reality they can be 10, whatever you have, because there is no data to back up those arguments. So with this project, we wanted to go for the as many as possible students in the age of 14 to 17 years, with three, let's say, themes. One was how to prevent gambling addiction, which is our primary goal. But also related with this one is how to prevent technology addiction. And on top of that was how to cope with bullying, because this is also an issue of interest in high schools in Romania. And we have this proposal. We went to 20 schools. Around 140 classes were involved. And we let those classes, together with their teachers and parents, to choose one of the themes. So we could not go with all three for all the classes, but we let them choose the most significant one for them. And that was also part of the study. So for instance, 47% of the pupils wanted to see how they can prevent the addiction for the technology. Either it's simply, browsing, or gaming, video gaming addiction. 37% of them was interested in understanding how to cope with bullying, and only 16% professor, parents, and kids altogether selected how to prevent the gambling addiction, which showed us in the end that practically, from the political point of view and the actors that are involved in this market, gambling is a big issue for a lot of, and I think we had quite a good, at least for Bucharest, quite a good sample, because in the end it was around 3,000 pupils and 1,000 parents involved in this study, which was quite relevant for a city like Bucharest. For them, addiction to gambling, it's an issue, but it's not number one issue.
That is very interesting what you're saying, Ovidiu, because we also noticed by speaking to people related to schools, related to educational institutions, that for them really the technology addiction is becoming a stronger issue than anything else. So it is really very interesting, the findings that you made from this program and this study. Do you think that you can provide a summary of the data and discoveries that
Yes.
you made during this program? And I guess all of our participants are going to be very interested to learn more and to see how you structured the program, what were the results, and what were the discoveries.
Yes, I will do that. I will send you the link, because with this program, we also develop a special web page. It's only in Romania for the time being. If this year we will manage to be selected again for such a program, we probably will introduce an English translation. And there is a report over there, but I will give you all the links. The report contains, I think, around 60 slides on different dimensions. One I mentioned to you, it's only in Romanian, but I think that if somebody is a little more interested, they can contact us and we can provide more data. And I believe that everyone which is involved in preventing of gambling addiction as a psychologist, because we are using teams of psychologists, they can easily expand into prevention of technology addiction. And organization as ourselves can provide a better, let's say, service to society, going also expanding our activity into this domain. Because I can see, at least for the online gambling, addiction to technology, it's in a way connected. So if this is established at an age of 10, 11, 12 years, addiction to technology, maybe some of those kids will have some brain, let's say, patterns structured such a way that later on will make them easy to follow into the path of the gambling addiction.
So overall, if
strategically for us, it would be good also to extend into this domain and to have a broader impact on society, provided that we have funds for that. But,
thank you. Thank you so much. Overall, from what you shared with us, we can probably take the conclusion that it is very important to work with youth on educating them for responsible use of technology overall, because later on that's going to probably draw its connection to responsible gaming and responsible behavior with all of the technological tools that are available nowadays.
That's true. And also another good topic for organization as ours. We asked the teachers, the participating teachers, okay, we have these 3 domains that we tackle in the project: how to cope with bullying, how to cope with technology addiction, and how to cope with gambling addiction. If you further would like to help to support your pupils, how do you think it's better to do it? By you yourself being more educated, the teacher himself, herself, by using an internal council existing in some of the high schools, or by using the, let's say, the knowledge of an external NGO. And for us, it was very relevant, and I think that will be an argument to be pushed for getting funds from the state or other, let's say, sponsors. If for bullying and to a certain degree technology addiction, the professors saw themselves as the main actor to deliver good education to the kids, because they are using also WhatsApp for the training in the school for the normal programs, and they want to use those tools for the normal activities and to prevent the expansion to the addiction. Or they can, for the bullying, they can make use of the internal school psychologists. When it comes to preventing of the gambling addiction, they say that they fully rely on external expertise for association like ourselves, because that's totally new for them and they don't have time to be educated into this domain. So that plays another, let's say, argument for organization as ourselves to be further funded to propel this kind of activity to the schools, because they don't have the capabilities. And when this was, tracked by the data that we have done. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how much time I have. I will send
Actually, we're short of time. I would like really to leave the rest for the Q&A session and to pass the word to Zoran, because we still have 3 more speakers and 4 more markets to cover. So thank you so much for your coverage for Romania and latest updates. And Zoran, it is you to provide the latest information on Serbia and Montenegro.
Well, hello. I'm really honest to say that it's a great opportunity for me to be a part of this webinar. I am Zoran Puhac, Secretary General of European Organization for Gaming Law, a non-profit organization, Bristol-based, with the main intention to protect and to share the best practices in the market of gambling, and to protect vulnerable groups, and of course to protect not only players, but it could sound as a joke, but to protect also governments from a wrong decision which can ruin their budgets. Nowadays, I will tell you a short overview on the Serbian market and Montenegrin market. In this very moment, the Serbian market is very stable. We passed some elections in the last year, and we have stable political situation last 12 years. And according to that, we have pretty stable regulations about not only gaming market, but all matters dealing with some other markets. It means in this situation that we have, well, let's say, very good communication with regulatory body in Serbia, and they usually listen carefully about the opinions of organizers, and of course they should listen carefully words from politicians, and they try and they succeed in making compromise. In this very moment, we have a following situation. Talking about casinos, we have 2 active casinos in Serbia. It is possible to open 8 more casinos, but it is necessary to for government to make a decision to offer on the market some more casino places. And I think that there is no such interest for that kind of business in gaming market. Talking about betting situation, there are few restrictions. First is restriction about distances. It's 200 meters from educational institution. And the second one is 100 meters distance from another branch of bet or slot club, betting shop or slot club. It's 100 meters. And the third limitation, not connected with distance, is that each organizer, if apply for a license, should have 30 premises for betting. Tax for betting is on a GGR principle, and it's 15%. And of course, there is some limitation about that because you should pay not less than 500 euros per bet shop on a principle of 15% of GGR. Not less than 500 euros per bet shop. And that's it, generally speaking, for betting. Talking about slot machines, there are also some limitations dealing with distances. It is the same as with betting shops. There is a limitation of 200 meters from educational institutions, and there is a limitation of 100 meters from another bet shop or slot club. Some other limitations are there for slot machines. One is that each organizer must have 100 slots owning it or borrowing it. But each organizer should control not less but 100 slot machines. The second one limitation is about slot machines is somehow in connection with bet shops, because it is allowed for bet shops to have not less but 5 slot machines in bet shops. It means it is allowed to have more, but not less but 5. And the fourth limitation is about how old slot machine could be to be put on the Serbian market. It is allowed to have not older than 1 year for each slot, putting for a first time on the market. Talking about taxes in about slot machines, there are two parts of taxes. One is 25 euros per month, and the second one is 10% on GGR, not less, but 40 euros per slot machine per month. I think it's not so complicated to understand. That's about slot machines. Talking about internet, there is much simpler. There is also two parts of taxes. One is 2,500 euros per month, and the second one is based on GGR, 10% on GGR, plus not less than 10,000 euros per month, on the same concept as betting and slot machines. So to confirm, 10% on GGR for internet, but not less than 10,000 euros per month. It's about licenses for internet. Because of that, the market is well developed, and in this very moment we have about more than 20 organizers on the web, and we have so much more land-based organizers. I think about more than 60, combining betting and slot machines, because as I said earlier, it is allowed to have not less but 5 slot machines in a betting shops. Talking about advertising, in this very moment, the situation is following. It is forbidden, of course, to advertise in a lot of newspapers, magazines, and TV shows for children or minors, generally speaking. It is forbidden. And another one, a limitation, is for billboard. It is a limitation of 100 meters far away from objects, not institutions, but objects for minors, or not even minors. I have to cite the law. Objects for children. And it is not exactly minors. It could be also minors, but could be also really small children, as like, let's say, object could be kindergarten. But it's only about billboards or outdoor advertising. Talking about future, I personally expect that something about advertising could be changed because publicity, especially in Serbia, they argue about so many adverts, especially on TV. You know that there are so many sports events, and they have really great popularity, and because of that, a lot of people, generally speaking, public opinion is that there is so much advertising of gambling. So I personally expect that there is no any sign in this very moment, but I personally expect that in next 1 year or not more than 2 years, it should be changed situation in the Serbia.
We can say that at the moment the situation pretty much is stable.
It's completely stable.
All of the described areas in the industry, as you said, the casinos, the sports betting shops, the slot halls online. Pretty much things are going stable, and on the advertising within the restrictions that you had mentioned, there are no expected current changes in the law and current changes on the market. Correct?
Yeah, I personally don't see any changes in a short future, talking about the main law. But as I said, I have to emphasize it. I expect some changes next 1 year dealing with advertising.
Yeah. Is it the situation in Montenegro, or?
No, Montenegro is a little bit different. Some conditions, I think they are better. Montenegro is a small country. It's officially about 650,000 citizens, officially. But in real, it's about, I think, not more than 500,000. And their market is not so developed as Serbian market, but they have some nice opportunity. And one obstacle in this very moment, talking generally speaking about land-based market, it is developed, and there are some casinos with good options, because there are so many tourists on the Montenegro Sea coast, and because of that, there are very suitable places for casinos. And they are completely open to for new business, and it's up to organizers if they want to open one more casino. Talking about slots and betting, it's a suitable situation, even a little bit better than in Serbia, because generally speaking, their taxes are based on GGR, and the level is 10% of GGR. It's a very stable situation about that. But talking about internet, it's my personal opinion that they put really high level for licensing the internet market in Montenegro, because they said it's 10,000 per month. As I said, it's small country, and there are not so many players to make such a kind of investment suitable for a lot of organizers on the market. And finally, dealing mostly with internet business, is the last changes of Montenegrin law at the very end of last year. They adopted the solution that all meaning of payment is forbidden, but cash and debit cards. It means that credit cards not allowed. It means that e-vouchers are not allowed. E-banking, it is not allowed. It's a strange situation because in that way they broke a lot of recommendations and directives of European Union, which make some recommendations to improve electronic meaning of payment because of conducting some struggles with money laundering, and it is much easier to follow the money using e-banking. In this very moment, my organization, not only but my organization sent a letter of recommendation and noticing exact recommendations of European Union and exact directives they broke with such a solution. and we are waiting to see what is going on.
Well, apparently this is going again to disturb quite a lot the online sector in Montenegro and put it in a situation where you mentioned the population is really small. So you anyway draw from a small pool of players, then you have a high taxation. So this, in addition to bring, is going to bring a burden to the operators, but we will be monitoring and see how things are developing. I don't know, we don't have much time to cover advertising and responsible gaming in Montenegro and also to speak more about that, but maybe we will touch base in the Q&A session. So just if you have something else really important to say about both markets, Serbia and Montenegro, before we pass the word to Vasco.
Excuse me, about?
About Serbia and Montenegro. If you have something else that we're missing and you would like to...
I can say only two things. Montenegro doesn't have any regulation about protection of some vulnerable group, except minors, because it is forbidden, of course. There was one situation, one offer of their local association in Montenegro, but there are some political changes happens, and because of that, they have to wait for continuous their project. In Serbia, there is a regular solution in law to protect minors and to have some promotional campaign. All organizers should educate their employees to recognize first potential signs of pathological gambling, and as a promotional project, they have obligation to put some posters in their branches to promote governmental health institution to help to protect pathological gamblers.
So at the moment, it is mainly informational. Yeah. Okay.
And that's the situation shortly.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's pass the word to Vasco. I understand that in North Macedonia currently there's some real changes that are pending and changes that had brought the industry on real watch of what is going to happen, because it might lead to some disturbance on the market. So Vasco, can you please bring us up to date with what is happening there?
Yeah, thank you, Rosi. My name is Vasco Ilievski. I'm president of Macedonian Sports Betting Association. Association is founded in 2013. The task of the association is to ensure equal conditions for all operators and also to work on education of the players and providing good for the society through some programs that we organize. So what is the situation, current situation in North Macedonian market? So we have the new law, who is in the parliament in the third reading. So the first reading and second reading passed. The parliament voted the law, but the president of the state didn't sign the decree on the new law. He didn't sign the decree on the recommendation of the delegation of EU in Macedonia, on the grounds that the European flag is being misused to carry a law that require compliance with the European legislation, and such a single law does not exist among the member states. And as a candidate country for the EU membership, we have obligation to do the compliance with the European legislation, but there is no such a law for gaming. So that's the main. That was the main reason why the president didn't sign the decree on the law. So the next step is law is put it back in the parliament in the third reading, and if it's voted in the third reading, it will be also mean its final implementation. So that's the process of getting the new law for implementation. What is the biggest changes in this law? Introduction of the distance of 500 meters from primary and secondary schools. The distance is considered as the shortest safe distance between those two institutions and the betting shops, slot clubs, and etc. And according to our estimates, this will mean closure of about 98% of all betting shops and slot clubs. Mostly because most of the cities in our country are from compact type, they are densely populated, and they not leave any space for dislocation of our facilities. So the main reason for introducing of 500 meters is, I will say, more political than bringing care about the minors. Because as Dan mentioned, we also have voting for new president and new parliament in April and May. So this is the opportunity for the parties to gathering voices according to this new law, especially for the distance from the primary and secondary schools. What is the next thing that is changing? Adding a fixed tax on the monthly payment. Until now, the old betting shops were paying 23% from the GGR, but now the new law implements 1,500 euros as a fixed tax. So if 23% is smaller than 1,500 euros per bet shops monthly, then you will pay 1,500 euros per betting shop. If 23% is smaller than 1,500 euros. Of all the game of chance, because I'm mainly speaking about sports betting as a president of Sports Betting Association. As you all know, from all the game of chance, betting is possibly the only one game of chance that can be in minus, in red. This means that even in the event when the operator is in the minus, he will have to pay 1,500 euros per betting shop. According to our knowledge, the average monthly payment, according to 23% that they are now paying, is around between 600 and 800 euros. So this 1,500 euros is mostly double than they are paying now. The third big change in this new gaming law is that they deleted the entire chapter of the law that regulated the online gaming for the private owned companies. Until now, it was legally possible to organize online games, but no Minister of Finance has signed the bylaws for it to start working in practice. Online games will be only able to be organized by the state lottery, by this new law, in partnership with private organizers, where the state lottery has 51% ownership. In the meantime, there was a public call and has been organized from state lottery, where 3 companies were selected who will be able to organize online together with the state lottery. Another change is changes 10,000 euros for each betting shop above the 25th that you can open with the license obtained. Until now, it was only necessary to increase the amount of the bank guarantee covering the current operation. Now you have additional 10,000 euros for each betting shop after 25th. For example, if you have 100 betting shops on the territory of the whole country, now by this new law, you need to pay an additional 750,000 euros for the additional 75 betting shops that you have on the territory of the state. That was not previously. In addition to all of this, I should mention that the term reputation is introduced for the founders of the company, which is completely unnecessary and difficult to assess. The assessment of the reputation of the owner of the company is left to the Minister of Finance, which leaves room for a subjective assessment of who is able and capable to found the company who will work in gaming industry. So this is the main aspect of there are some other changes, but this is the main changes that completely overhaul the gaming market in our country. So this third reading is in the parliament in Wednesday. So we have 2 more days to see what will happen finally with this new law that they are trying to implement.
What you're saying is really very interesting, and apparently there are quite a few changes pending that are going to affect the sports betting, the slot halls, as well as the online. So let's see what is going to happen. But apparently, what is right now provided in the law does not have some merits, considering the situation in North Macedonia. Particularly, I believe you mentioned the requirements about the 500 meters. Do you think that this is applicable in your country? Do you think
it is very difficult, as I mentioned, according to some our measurements that we made, because we don't know the final document who will say how exactly it will be measured. It is difficult to see, but according to our measurements, about 98% of the betting shops and slot clubs will be closed, because there is no place where you can dislocate the facilities, because when you started from one school to another school, you are probably getting from another from one primary to another secondary school, for example, because all the cities are densely populated, so you don't have space. And if you find some spaces, you don't have some business buildings or something where you can relocate the objects over there. And despite all of this, you don't have opportunity to work online, because only the state lottery can do it. No private-owned company can organize that.
It sounds like if this law passes in 2 days, a lot of operators probably will need to close, and some of them maybe will need to consolidate. So
yes,
we're expecting changes in North Macedonia.
Yeah, fortunately, it's like that. Biggest problem is because we have more than around 10,000 employees who will be affected directly from this law. And from our calculation, more than 54,000 other jobs were indirectly working with the gaming industry in our country. So it will be a big problem. Mm-hmm. In short terms, it will seem that, I don't know, some problems are solved, but on long distance, it will be a big problem.
Well, a lot of changes pending in your country. Let's keep monitoring and hope that things are going to develop in a good way, and hopefully we will be able to organize in a few months a new seminar, a webinar, where we're going to see the development that will be led by the changes in the gaming law. So if you don't mind, probably that's not the most important at the moment to discuss the advertising and the responsible gaming, because you have some more important issues on the horizon.
Yeah,
right
definitely.
Now.
Yes, definitely.
Maybe I should pass the word to Angel, as we're running short of time. Angel, it's your turn to give a few words about Bulgaria and the situation on the Bulgarian gaming market.
Yeah, thank you, Rosie. However, we are a little bit longer of time, actually. But yeah, anyhow, yeah, I will try to say a few words about Bulgarian market and try to wrap up what the other colleagues also kind of experienced, but what we all experience in the Balkan countries, and I think it's worldwide actually, is kind of let's say extra pressure from the authorities just to collect more taxes, to put more bans on certain activities. And of course, that's not easy for each of us as operators and as gaming association, just because at least actually the authorities should listen to the voice of the business when they want to make certain kind of changes into the regulatory environment that we operate in. In Bulgaria, what happened actually last year, just before the year end, with the law of the state budget, the Minister of Finance has decided to increase the gambling revenue in the state budget with around 100 million euro in total. And unexpectedly for anyone in the market, actually he raised the taxes, although they've started certain negotiations with the sector, but at year end, actually, what they did, actually, they used certain members of parliament to get the laws straight into the parliament without any public discussion, which is the normal practice in discussing any regulatory changes. So technically, what happened actually, they've increased the quarterly fee that are paid by the land-based operators of gaming halls and casinos by 60% actually. This fee is paid on per machine base, and also they've imposed a single fee actually for each operator for new license of 75, 150,000 euro, up to 300,000 euro for the casinos, depending on the number, on the population of the area where the casino is or the gambling hall is located. And yeah, what they said is, okay, now we tax only the new licensees, but on the other side, they've decided to tax all existing licensees, because in Bulgaria there are around 1,200 gaming halls, and for all the remaining term of the license, they would collect this fee pro rata on actually the term until expiry. So this, by our estimation, will guarantee them around 70, 80, okay, maybe 35, 40 million euro or 70, 80 million Bulgarian BGN into the revenue. And they will collect extra 45 million BGN from the existing halls if none of the halls actually reduces the number of player positions and none of the halls actually get closed. Of course, I would expect that, well, when taxes raise, certain halls which work a bit ineffectively, they would normally or they do not have enough, let's say, players. They would probably exit the market, or the market operators will try to reduce the number of machines actually to a lower amount, to the minimum required amount by the law to operate the gaming hall. And that would affect the gaming manufacturers, who will have to find a place for these machines, which are actually in the halls of, in the warehouses of the gaming operators. But well, this is not good for the development of the market as a whole because, you know, we all know that our sector is highly technological, and then on the other side, actually the manufacturers will need to develop, and then they find a good point for testing and selling their machines into the local markets. And Bulgaria has well-known manufacturers. On the other side, let's say some of the articles in the law still have some dual kind of meaning, and different practices might occur. So maybe certain things like, let's say, the so-called betting points, actually, or points for placing bets. It's not exactly betting shops. Okay, it's similar to betting shops, but the law says betting points. Actually, they are not quite strictly regulated the same way as gaming halls, and in regards with the distance and some other requirements actually for entry for responsible gaming. We know that the register of gambling addicted actually people have increased in Bulgaria, but the law does not allow actually any who has been registered in this register to be written off after 2 years period, because well, there is actually arguments whether this should be, because it is said actually they delete the registration by will of the registrant, but at the end of the day, actually they've changed the treatment, and they said no, this is a minimum term of 2 years actually, and of course they collect the money for responsible gaming. They do not actually use this money properly, and the sector has no kind of feedback how this money that have been collected have been spent, whether they've been spent on responsible gambling initiatives. Of course, the operators actually do this themselves, but it's an issue. I mean, as Dan mentioned, yeah, they have certain different, let's say, regulation about the warranties. In Bulgaria, this type of warranty is requested money actually per gaming hall, but when you operate 20 gaming halls, actually you might need as much as 2 million actually euros blocked in the country, or kind of in the bank, or as a kind of bank guarantee actually to operate the business. This is a different solution of the local market. As regards actually, the online sector, yeah, Dan mentioned, for example, that they've actually introduced permanent establishment, but in Bulgaria, this permanent establishment was introduced since the introduction of the law because they want to tax. I mean, government wants to tax actually the local based on the local taxation rules, any kind of betting activity. But of course, when taxes are increased, certain operators normally actually withdraw from the market, and at the end of the day, maybe taxes are increased in percentage term. The absolute returns into the state budget remain at the same level. We'll see how this actually will happen in the future. While we can monitor certain populist parties actually who claim that the gambling is really bad, try to introduce some silly drafts which are proposing taxing the bets, not the GGR, and on the other side fix certain. Well, I don't even need to mention the details of this law because this is a purely populist resolution. On the other side, the operators, especially in the online sector, who are major factors in, let's say, the public advertising, have signed actually ethical memorandum actually to follow certain rules so that the advertising is not making as much noise to the public, because, you know, that's the other issue that the Minister of Finance mentioned, that he is willing to restrict actually the advertising, gambling advertising. Yeah, from time to time, I mean, to a certain extent, this is followed by certain operators, but there's no guarantee, and certain operators do not follow this ethical memorandum. But yeah, that's how the things happens in Bulgaria. I think I was short enough actually to describe the situation, and I don't want to go into any further details because we can talk for hours about this.
Yes, the discussion could be lengthy, and if we go to details, but if I could just summarize from what you mentioned, in Bulgaria, what we can see is the increase in taxation, correct? Which
Yes.
was introduced at the beginning of this year. We also see some areas which you point at probably warning signs for uncontrolled growth in terms of sports betting shops, whereas the gambling regulator have not put enough attention when making changes in the law, and this could create potentially issues in the future. The other topic that you had mentioned was in terms of the register for vulnerable people and the self-restriction which people can impose to themselves, but then they are limited to a term of 2 years where they cannot get out of this register. Did I understand correct what you mentioned?
Yeah.
Yes. And apparently, the advertising has been a hot topic for Bulgaria as well as for many other jurisdictions. Probably the closest one to this is Romania. We're encountering similar problems. So, with this, probably the overview of the market that we were trying to present today is done. And I have here a few questions from the audience, from the participants. Maybe I would like to read a few of them because we're short of time, not all of them. And going back to the advertising, I have a question here. Do you think that the total ban of gambling advertising is a good idea in any market? Who wants to take?
Yes, if I may, we have the experience of Italy, which went on this total ban a few years ago, and I haven't seen any research on the impact of this ban on advertisement. But the governments, nevertheless, as Angel mentioned, are not aware of any scientific approach or any kind of research. They are purely populistic. So they believe that if in fact, it sounds very good to bring up some total bans or some large distances from schools between slot halls and advertisement billboards. But in fact, nobody can bring some proofs that these measures are effective. So it's purely populistic and has absolutely no impact. For example, let's to be a little bit more relaxed. In Romania, they want to kick off every single slot machines from small cities, and in Czech Republic they do it the vice versa. So they want to kick off every slot machines from large cities. So it's absolutely purely populistic, and it has no sense in this respect.
Dan, it's interesting you mentioned Italy because my understanding is that the total ban of advertising that was introduced 5 years ago in Italy actually brought just the opposite effect. First of all, it allowed a ground for increase of illegal gambling without any protection of the player. And secondly, obviously, some of the not so well legal players were not able to position themselves, which actually created an adverse effect and brought really a growth of the market share of the just few leaders that were established on the market. So more or less, first of all, it brought this not intentional, but pretty much site-directed consolidation towards the known players that had a chance to establish themselves as brands prior to the advertising ban, and it allowed proliferation of illegal gambling. So, yeah, very interesting that you brought Italy as an example. Yes, Zoran?
I want to add something in support Dan's opinion, and to say that it could be effective, but only for 3 groups of, let's say, market participants. It could be effective for new players on the market because it will hit them if they have completely banned advertising. Because market doesn't know for them, they are new. But
new players,
no,
new
operators,
players,
operators, yes.
Yes.
I said players by mistake, maybe. And the 2 other groups are media and, of course, advertising agencies. And the very strong, very powerful shock for them if something like that happened. I have to emphasize the Italian case. If you remember, they made, they sold about 50 or 60, even 60 licenses for internet about less than a year before they banned completely advertising. They found, of course, about 50 or 60 new players on the market. And after that, they stopped to advertise gambling. And those new players on the market, those new organizers, they had a problem. But old organizers on the market, they didn't have essential problems in such a cases. They should save a lot of money they spend usually for advertising and compensate it with that money. They compensate some small decrease of their profit. I'm pretty sure that it is irrational, but it sounds very, very well for the widest population and especially for politicians because it expresses their care about public good and they express their capabilities.
They care more
against industry, any industry on the world, of course, any industry on the world.
I have here quite a few questions in the Q&A session, but I have probably time for only one of them. The rest we can put on the link, and after that, each one of you can take the freedom to answer at their free time in the comments in our section. So the question that I chose is, what are the key challenges faced by gaming professionals in the Balkans? I guess this is a very interesting question. So maybe each one of you can take a turn and just with 2 words say what they think.
Well, may I say kindly to make a little bit a joke, but completely honest, it's my personal opinion. The elections had the key challenge. During the elections time, all politicians try to find out something new to improve their, let's say, their image. And that's the problem. Each industry, not only gaming industry, each industry terribly needs stability. And the time of elections is unstable time. And that's the problem, generally speaking.
Zoran, can I add something actually? Because you said the situation in Serbia is stable.
Yes.
You can always expect actually some kind of unforeseen actually new things by the politicians. And I believe politics is the biggest challenge to all the gambling sector because I mean there's a lot of populist statements against the sector, and then that's actually at the end of the day, yeah, okay, you said the elections, but the elections might bring instability, but instability can become a stable, actually, argumentation between everyone against the gambling. Although the politicians in between might have certain kind of, let's say, misunderstanding around other sectors. Gambling has always suffered by the tax ambitions by the politicians. That's the secret.
I said at the very beginning that I can make some kind of joke, but there is a problem with you mentioned really nicely. We have in Serbia, we have about 12 years of stability, but at the very beginning of that period, there was so many, let's say, ideas how to change possible regulation of market. And just I have to say another thing. Before the last election, oppositional politicians, they tried to introduce pretty new but old idea about closing all windows on the betting shops. About 20 years ago, the same political party asked to close the view in a better shop, and after that, all companies, all organizers had to close the view. Now the same party asked again to open that to see what is going on inside. They had an idea. Before that, about 20 years ago, it was an idea. You have to close the view because especially minors, they could see something attractive for them. I just gave an exact example for such as, let's say, stupidity.
Well, Zoran, from what I hear from you and from Angel, maybe the rest are going to agree with that, is that the biggest challenge is really the political environment.
Yeah.
Maybe there is a lack of strategic view on the place and what the gambling industry is really bringing to the economy of each country. So maybe there should be a strategic vision for this. And secondly, each political party trying to make some adjustment should seek a dialogue with the industry in order to understand the intricacies and specifics of the industry. Instead of trying to make things that either will repeat some previous issues and mistakes, or they're going to, due to lack of understanding of some of the specifics, create other issues and situations. From what I understood from Angel's point, is that correct?
Yeah, yes, completely.
Yeah, Rossi, it's correct. I mean, but you can always expect anything from politicians because, fortunately, they're a bit short-sighted. I mean, until the term of their time in the parliament or whatever it is. But long-term strategy requires a much more statesman approach actually to the business, because it is not only actually to collect a certain tax higher, which is higher and kill the business, rather than actually having stable revenue in the state budget, which comes from this, from my point of view, really important sector.
Well, we see that gambling industry is always under the spotlight, both for politicians and also for people that are seeking business opportunities. It is highly dynamic sector, and especially the region right now we see subject to sometimes unpredictable changes. So we should be on the watch. We should keep one ear to the ground to see what is happening. And I would like to thank all of you for the participation of this webinar. And hopefully soon we can have a new updated follow-up webinar where we can present what has happened from the presented changes in the law that we just discussed during this past 1.5 hours. So thank you, everyone, and hope to see you soon again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.